Welcome to another Rugby League Down South podcast. Coming up on the programme, Broncos top try scorer MASON CATON-BROWN, a Cumbrian former crusader now with SKOLARS in Ryan McDonald, and the Texan peddling league in Eastbourne. As ever, this podcast also available on the totalrl.com website, the people behind the League Express and Rugby League World. Now, Broncos, we'll start with them, and does the improvement continue? And how far may improvement take them? Aaron saying on Twitter, at Ian Ramsdale, not far enough, I feel. Losing to Bradford, Wakefield and Catalans could do it for us, but we won't give up fighting. Broncos, the real sort of fight back from the game against Catalans was the apparent positive. Attendance 1,002 as well. I did say before the game that attendance was likely to be under 1,000, and it will be the exact measure of the reconnection and bond that they need to build with lapsed fans. You generally get a true view of Super League standings after 10 rounds. Broncos now played 10, won none, lost 10. 430 against 439. That's a minus 299 points difference. So an average of a loss by 30 points per game. No points yet in the Super League table. But are they still improving? And they're only 4 points adrift. Being late starters, you could argue that the real measure of Broncos season comes around round 13, round 14. A couple of comments on Twitter, at Ian Ramsdale, using the hashtag RLDS. 4 points is in reality 6, given our plus or minus situation, says gutter facts. Huddersfield and Saints next isn't going to make it any better. Ariana saying on Twitter, I hope they can win, but realistically, the magic weekend against Catalans, I hope they can win. Kevin saying all is lost, there's nothing worth watching anymore, there's no attack or defence, what a waste. Gary saying not a chance, they have no organisation, go forward or confidence. They try, but trying only gets you so far. Sadly, Championship 1 next year, says Gary. Mike saying I think they have the potential, but if we're to start the season from this week, then maybe yes. And John saying, as you say, only 4 points behind Wakefield, not all bad considered. Broncos did finish strongly last year, which is a very good point, John. A couple of wins towards the back end of last year, so I'm sure the team won't be giving up. But you would suspect that Broncos will already have an eye on plans for 2015. I'll be asking the new management setup a couple of questions in interviews next week, which will bring you on the programme. But with that new management structure in place, I wondered before the game against Catalans whether that Thursday night would see the team bottom out in terms of the low crowd and possibly form turning. Well, form definitely is turning, isn't it? And this week we'll hear from the Broncos top try scorer in MASON CATON-BROWN, a 20-year-old who's played just 13 first-grade games. 1-3 first-grade games. And now Broncos top try scorer for 2014. 7 tries in 11 games this year. Although he does say it's been a tough season so far.
Definitely frustrating as a team. We're working on it each week and working towards our first win.
It almost came, didn't it, at the beginning of the Easter weekend. How much spirit could you take from that fight back against the Catalans?
Yeah, we took a lot of... Well, it's unfortunate we couldn't build on it in the last game against Hull. But yeah, it really proves to us and to everyone else that we are competing and we're working towards a win and we want to win.
Looking from the outside, the nature of that comeback and where the team came from and dug deep and the late nature of it showed a real fighting spirit. Is that something that you've picked up on in the camp?
Yeah, we've always tried to say to each other we're Broncos and we'll get through tough periods in the game. We'll fight. That's kind of like the ethos of the team. Because
I guess you all knew, and Tony Ray knew it was going to be a tough year this year, but that's never seemed to really put anyone off. And the fighting spirit is there within this squad 10 rounds in.
Yeah, I think because we're quite a young squad and developing squad, we all want to prove ourselves and prove to each other that we're part of Super League and we deserve a place in Super League. So that probably helps as well with the fighting spirit.
You say you're a young squad. if the stats are correct, am I right in saying that I say only, but you've only played 13 Super League games?
Yeah, 13 games, I think.
Because it was
12 and then one Challenge Cup.
12 and then one Challenge Cup, so 13 sort of Super League top level performances. I mean, you are still, in terms of your development as a rugby league player, I guess, still very young.
Yeah, I'm still 20 years old. I debuted last season, I think the last 2 games. Yeah, so I'm still learning. I'm trying to get better by every game, learning by my mistakes, and just trying to improve my personal rugby.
And I guess as well, you look at the people that are in this team at Broncos at the moment, and they are people like you. And talk about being a local boy from Enfield, North London, sort of where Broncos have now moved to. I've just been reading a report from the Independent from the back end of last year saying that seeing people like yourself come through to the first team is exactly what Broncos are about and need to be about in the future.
Yeah, it's good to play for my local team, and along with loads of my other friends that I've gone through the academy with, who are all from London as well. So yeah, that's a big bonus for the club and for me and my friends playing here.
The question sometimes when you talk to an emerging London-bred talent is sort of do you ever think or do you ever consider the fact that you might have to move away to another club to have success? We've seen people like Sargentson last year and Tony Clubb and Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook in the years before that. But I guess let's flip that round on its head and say what would it take to keep you interested and to keep you going at Broncos? What is it that you're looking for to make sure that you can play for many more years at Broncos?
Well, everyone plays rugby to win, so you just want to be at a team that's winning. If London are winning, everyone wants to be there, so it's just about winning games, really. And
can those wins come this year?
That's what we're working on. That's what we want to do.
There's obviously still the belief there. We've talked about how tough it may well be, but I guess this team is still coming together to an extent. And if you knock off the pre-season that other clubs have had, they still would be around the same progression that you are now.
Yeah, we did miss quite a bit in pre-season, but I think as a team with Gerald and we're there like in the gelling phase of it. We just need to get the rugby right and get the finishing touches now.
We talked about the length of time that you've played top level rugby league. Who's been the biggest sort of influence on your rugby league career? And obviously you were playing union before, but since you've played league, who have you aspired to, or who have you been talking to, and who's given you the most sort of inspiration and direction?
I think personally it's been more of the younger players rather than the older players. Seeing players like Sargi, Kieran Dixon, Will Lovell, all at a young age pushing into the first team when I was still in the academy, I think that was more of an inspiration to show me that young players can get into the team and perform well.
And your Broncos top try scorer at the moment, we can't go too far without mentioning that. A couple of tries in your games that you played at the back end of last year. I say a couple. I think you scored 4 in 2 games. Is that right? The back end of last season.
Yeah.
And then things didn't stop though. This year you found the try line a good number of times.
Yeah, it's always nice to score, but unfortunately we haven't won yet.
And have you set yourself any personal goals for this year? Anything in particular that you want to achieve? Have you got your eyes set on being the top try scorer at the end of the year, or particular goals tally or anything like that?
That would be good, but my goal is just to get better as a player. This is really my first year playing week in, week out, so I want to get through this year and how I played, how I performed.
What about the coaching team, Tony Ray and Joe Grimer? Joe's obviously new for this year. He seems like a bit of a live wire character.
Yeah, part of the team as well. It's very easy to approach them open, so if I have a problem or need anything to ask about, get my game, or if game coming up, I can just come in to the offices and ask them. They'll approach me, tip me up on how I played and what I need to do. So it's pretty open and good.
That's MASON CATON-BROWN then, saying that the fighting spirit is part of the team ethos for them this year. They're working on the wins. Will they come? Thank you for MASON for talking to us, and best of luck for the rest of the season to him. I mentioned on Twitter during the week that it was good to see the London Broncos Supporters Association working to raise awareness and attract support. They were out riding the Jubilee line with the Broncos mascots Buck and Dusty. Went down to Westminster as well. Saw a picture. If you do a search in an internet search engine, you will find the London Broncos Supporters Association, or RL List, as in RL Rugby League, List LIST for the London Independent Supporters Trust. So search for RL List as well. You'll find their blog and all the details. Now, the Broncos new management structure said they want a sustainable club at the heart of rugby league in London. I did say that the phrase "at the heart" was said on numerous times when I went for a meeting at the Broncos just a couple of weeks ago. I will be talking to the new management structure for next week's podcast, but much reconnection you'd thought to do if they are to be at the heart of the game in London. And Barnett, the Hive and Tony Cleanthos will have to buy into it too, which is what I said. More details next week on the programme. Now we move on to the London Skolars then, who announced at a fans forum ahead of their game with South Wales Scorpions, the first of back-to-back wins, that they'll be playing at Enfield Town, 5 miles down the road from the New River, while their 4G pitch is now installed. Worth mentioning that General Manager Howard Kramer is to leave the club soon, having spent 4 years and 4 months with the London Skolars in North London. He's moving on to pastures new, having done a terrific job in the time that he spent with the Skolars. And back-to-back wins for the side on the field. Hemel, a win there. It was a very close win, very last-minute win with a penalty and a drop goal late on for the London Skolars. The Viking of Ching on Twitter, who was involved with Skolars, saying, "Good morning, sir. 2 back-to-back wins. Looking good for Joe and the boys." Well, one of those boys in North London is Ryan McDonald, the former North Wales Crusaders man, who's played a couple of other sides as well and played for many years in the rugby league structures. Now playing for London Skolars. I was rather surprised to find him listed as part of the Skolars team a few weeks ago, a point that I put to him when I spoke to him earlier on. Ryan, well, I saw a team sheet at London Skolars a couple of weeks ago and saw Ryan McDonald's name on there, and I was surprised and I thought, is this the Ryan McDonald? And it turned out that it was. How have you ended up playing for Skolars?
A couple of reasons really. Obviously I was good friends with Addy Adebisi. I know he's not there now, but obviously we kept in touch. And obviously I've known Joe Mabu for a long time as well, so we moved back to Leeds from Cumbria, and to touch on the championship side of it, obviously I've been a professional 18 years now, so I thought promoted last year with North Wales, enjoyed that, and played this year in championship, and the speed of it's unbelievable. Obviously at my tender age of 36, it was a bit too quick for me, and there's no way I could have pulled another 2 or 3 yard of pace back. So I spoke to Joe, and obviously he gave us the opportunity to get a bit of match fitness before I went back to North Wales. But I spoke to Joe again after I left North, and then went back. So happy days. I enjoyed it when I was there. So bit of a no-brainer, really.
It sounds great. I mean, you talk about the difference between Championship 1 and Championship. I guess sometimes fans don't necessarily sort of pick up and can see it as obviously, because obviously then they're not involved in the game. People talk about it being such a different division and a big step up, Championship and Super League. Is it really that much of a difference between Championship 1?
Yeah, massive. It's a massive divide. Like I say, you've got a lot of young lads who've been in the Super League environment since they were like 16, 17. All big, strong, fit kids. So they're playing the trade in that division. You've got all the Super League lads who are dropping down in that division, and it just makes it a totally better competition all the way around. It's a step up from, which obviously Championship 1 is predominantly part-time as you're going to get.
Right.
So it is a massive step.
Sure, and I don't mean this to be at all a disparaging comment, but at the age of 36, you're obviously still keen to play on.
It's one of them. I mean, I've always enjoyed playing. Don't get us wrong, this is definitely my last year of playing rugby. I'd say playing rugby at any level. But I used to speak to my mates when I was younger, and they'll say, "You'll know when time comes." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't know what they're on about." But my body's definitely telling me the time's come.
And what's it been like at Scholars? You know, you talked about you know Joe. What's it like? See, I guess you know him from sort of being on the field rather than being a coach. Although I'm sure you've bumped into him in his coaching role over the last couple of years. But what's it like being with him and a team with him that he's coaching?
It's definitely different because obviously the northern southern divide it is different. Obviously, it's a different way of life totally, isn't it, from living down in south and he's living in north. Obviously, we're a lot more relaxed in north, and in general life, I mean, we're more relaxed than some of us are a bit more uptight, but yeah, it's a different, they have a different philosophy on the game and that as well, so it's good to see sometimes how different people react differently in games and that. I know what you'd expect in playing rugby up here. It's hard to put your finger on.
People talk about the development of the game in London. Was there anything in your mind about sort of, you've been at Crusaders for a couple of years and you've seen the progression that they'd made. What was it about, or was there anything about London and that tempted you to carry on with Scholars?
Just the people involved, really. It's not the area. You don't play for an area. I've always played for a team where I've known people and I know I can enjoy myself and have a laugh, and when time comes you can switch on and obviously you're ready to go to battle, so to speak, aren't you? It's from playing against London last year, and they've been steadily progressing. I think start of this year they've hit a bit of a lull, but I think they'll on paper, the team down on paper should be able to get them out of that.
What have you made of the guys there? You obviously played a couple of games for them now. I think initially it was on loan, wasn't it? But then you've now signed up sort of full-time for the season with Scholars. What have you made of the team that they've got and how potentially successful they could be this year?
It's all there for them. They can only do it for themselves, but there's some good standout individuals. It's just now it's obviously pulling it together as a team. That's the big challenge. But it's all there in front of them. They can be as good or as bad as what they want to be.
And how?
Like I say, it's up to Joe to tie them all into the group mentality. And that's the thing.
Sounded like a great game against Hemel at the weekend, over the Easter weekend. A very, very close and tense finish with a drop goal and a late penalty to win it for Scholars. Did you get the spicy nature of the Hearts London derby while playing?
It was definitely Hemel are one of them teams. They just never give in. They just never say die. They do the basics right, and they just bore you to death. It was good to get wins. Obviously, I've played in a lot of different derbies over my time as in rugby, but it was up there.
And what about the result as well? Because that's a couple of back-to-back victories now for Scholars, and like you say, a bit of a shaky start, but it seems like now things are settling down and they can hopefully, with yourself, move on.
Yeah, I say it's one of them. I mean, if you can lose into that average forming, but so's winning. Hopefully we've turned that corner and start stringing a few wins together now, and then just start getting up that table.
When you said you couldn't play Championship anymore, but you're interested in playing Championship 1, did you have a lot of interest in you had other options?
Yeah, well, obviously, I know people all over the place in games, so I spoke to York, I spoke to Hunslet. But like I said, when I said to Joe, I enjoyed my time there. I know it's a bit of travelling involved, but I enjoyed my time there, so I didn't have any hesitation when Joe rang me back up. Although he nearly left it too late, so but okay, I held on.
And what about then, obviously you say it's your final year sort of playing rugby. Be good for Skolars to, I guess, get into the playoffs and have a good run. You know, you had a good run in the playoffs last year. I'm sure you'd love to do the same again this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, they played really well last year. We played them in final and we beat them home and away. But when you look at the results over the season, the progression they made last year was phenomenal. So hopefully, like I say, we'll turn there's a few tough games to come, but hopefully they've turned that corner and get the winning mentality going.
And what do you think about them having a 4G pitch installed as well? It means you're going to have to play a couple of the games at nearby Enfield Town on the football pitch there, but it looks like the club off the field are onto big things on the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it starts from grassroots, doesn't it? It starts from the bottom, you work your way up. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the 4G, but it seems to be the way a lot of clubs are going now, because obviously you can play it when it's frosty or anything, can't you? So they're all following the Witness blueprint. But that's the problem. Although that can work against you, obviously, playing away from home at Enfield.
Yeah.
Because obviously it'd be a bigger pitch on a football pitch, wider and all that. I can't see it being too problematic.
That's the prop, Ryan McDonald. Lovely bloke and obviously very experienced and will be very useful to London Skolars and makes their pack even bigger this year. Not backwards in going forward, are they, the London Skolars for 2014, I'm sure. It sounded like a great derby as well against Hemel, a 27-24 win for the London Skolars. And interesting that there's no Broncos on dual registration with the Skolars either. That Skolars season back on track then. 6th now, 1 point behind Hemel in 4th. An interesting run-in for the season for them. And finally, on this Rugby League Down South programme for this week, we hear from Eastbourne, the Eastbourne Exiles. An interesting story. I mentioned on the programme a few weeks ago that if you've got a story, you've got an interesting person, you've got people who, well, would make a good listen on Rugby League Down South as to the efforts that they're putting in to expanding the game in the South, then do get in touch. And the Eastbourne Exiles got in touch with me. And JUAN JASSO I spoke to. JUAN told me about, well, his backstory and how he's ended up propping up rugby league in Eastbourne. This is a fascinating chat. I never expected that I'd be linking rugby league to Eastbourne. It's not exactly what you would call rugby league heartland. How long have you been going?
We've only been going for, well, this is our second season and we've just only started. So it's something that I started up because I've moved down from Leeds a few years ago. About 2 years ago now. And I played rugby league at Leeds Metropolitan University. I played at some of the amateur clubs there. And then I was linked to some of the championship sides. And, just wanted to continue playing. So decided to start up my own club.
I was going to say, it struck me that accent wasn't a Leeds accent.
No, it's not. I'm originally from Texas. I came over many, many years ago and have basically become as British as anybody else up in Yorkshire. I like my cup of tea. I like my rugby league. I like my Sunday roasts. So
very good. So obviously, you talked about playing rugby league. Have you played it from a young age? You mentioned you played at a university there.
Well, no, because I was a mature student, and believe it or not, I was there at, how old was I? 31. And I decided, I was still quite competitive, and I'm still in enough of an athletic shape that I can participate and be competitive. So I thought, well, why not? I'll try rugby league. I'd been playing union for a while, and I didn't really enjoy it. So I thought I'd give rugby league a try, and absolutely took to it. And I've loved it ever since. And the skill sets that I had from playing American football, I thought were better suited to league than union.
So I guess you've obviously, your life has taken you down to Eastbourne. You've decided to set up a club there. How have things been? It's obviously still early days at the moment, but how has the reaction been to forming the club?
Well, last year we did run into a couple of little issues, and that's mainly, I believe, because there is still sort of that whole mentality of North-South divide and Union League divide, where we are going to rugby union clubs, just letting them know that we're here trying to get players to come down. At the moment, we are kind of pushing more for them just to come down and use it more as a fitness tool for their players and to develop their defensive lines and line speed. But there is a little bit of hesitation by some of the clubs who think that we're trying to pinch their players and this and that. And I'm going, it's very difficult to try and sell them on the fact that we don't play their same season. We play during the summer, and it doesn't matter. It'll benefit both codes, where you get players still playing and still getting used to the contact even over the winter months.
I guess it's somewhat to be expected, isn't it? Because that's traditionally the feeling that's been around, and various clubs that have used this model to launch themselves have, I guess, run into similar problems. But you just stick with it, a little bit of persistence, and hopefully you'll end up with a good, strong sort of core of players. Yeah,
that's the model that we're trying to get in place, and it is going to be a long-term, 5 to 7 year plan before we are really well established here in the community. And it's trying to get the local schools as well to, because there's no summer sports down here. There's no participation sports for anyone during the summer months. It's cricket and that's it. And to be fair, we've had parents come to us and say, look, my kid loves playing rugby. He wants to just play rugby year round now. And the fact that we have league is very beneficial because the kids show up and sometimes we have a great turnout and you've got 15 to 20 youngsters, and then you've got another 30 adults there. You get, 9 to 10 ladies showing up on a good day. So we've got various ages and abilities showing up, and we're able to put out, half a side for a ladies team, an under 13s, an under 10s, and then a full open age side and almost a masters, but that's on a good day. On a bad day, it's just, okay, everybody plays together, and you'll have little kids running around with adults, and it's fun, and we just play touch there.
And so do you, or are you planning to play in any of the leagues or arrange any official fixtures, or is this just something that at the moment you're running sort of within yourselves?
No, we are planning to. We already registered in the Merit League for London and Southeast, I believe it is, and we've been talking with the RFL in London to get this really going. We've had contact from other clubs who want friendlies and want to know if we can come up and they want to come down. But obviously, without having solid numbers, I can't commit to anything. Last year, we did have our under 13s because we had a full 22 kids for an under 13s who went up and played against Medway Dragons and did exceptionally well considering it was our first year. They'd only been practicing for about 8 weeks. And they put up 12 points against Medway. I mean, they didn't come away with the win, but, against Medway, who's a very well-established team, I felt that was a success for us.
Yeah, and so I guess the Merit League is the league where you can sort of arrange fixtures as and when it suits you and the other opponents, and, it almost goes on an aggregate score, doesn't it, or a sort of percentage win rate?
Yeah, that's correct.
And so I guess I'm just thinking, actually, with your American football roots, do you think, obviously, the NFL are trying to sort of ingrain themselves in England, in London in particular? Is there an option there for people who like NFL, or in a way, for people who, for rugby league to get in and do what the NFL and American football could be doing? If it's a skill set and a game that's very similar, is there, dare say, a bit of competition, but an opportunity there for the RFL to sort of steal those people away?
There is, because obviously American football in the UK with the British American Football League is becoming more and more established, and there are more and more teams springing up all over the place. It's in university now, and I'm trying to when we do have American football players who are playing either at university or for the local amateur teams, I do try and pinch some of their players who are in specific positions who would benefit from playing league. Sometimes they do come down, and sometimes it's a bit more of a challenge because I used to play, and there is a local team who I went down and practiced and had a training session with them, and they had asked me if I was going to come down regularly, but I realized with playing union, playing league, trying to set up the league club, and then for me to try and venture and do American football as well, I thought, I'll just stay with my rugby league because for me, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot faster, it's a lot more entertaining. And I've kind of gone off American football as much as I love it and as much as I used to watch it. It's just at a point now where I look at it and go, this is way too slow for me now. I'd rather just play league or even union.
And so for those people that are down in the area that might want to know more, what's the details? What's the best way?
Well, we have a club site, which most teams use, Pachero, and we have as well. We also have a Facebook site. But if they type in Eastbourne Exiles, we're the only club down here, or Eastbourne Rugby League, and it should come up with either myself or the Exiles page. And that's probably the best way to get in touch. We are putting out loads of different things. We're working with the local council, and we're getting articles in the local press and different releases to let the public know that we're here, and just trying to get involved with every kind of community amateur sporting sort of festivals that take place, just to get the word out. We are obviously, it's myself and one other who is basically on the committee, so we are trying to get in touch with other clubs to see, just for advice and help, and also to try and see what the best way is to obtain sponsorship and funding, because we're well aware that we do need people to have the club established and grow, but without any funds, we'll be dead in the water before we even get started. And the funds now this year, the second year that we're running now, we're trying to create an identity by now having funds and having sponsors, being able to get kit so that people can wear around and show that there is a club, we are established, and we're trying to grow and develop.
So that's JUAN JASSO talking to me over Skype. Again, good to talk to people over the internet and use various bits of internet technology to get things in quality. Great story as well, isn't it? Best of luck to Eastbourne in their endeavours and on what's happening down in Eastbourne. Good to know that rugby league is spreading throughout the south, and as ever, as I say, if you've got a story, you've got a person, someone who's got a great story to tell, we'd love to tell it here on Rugby League Down South. Big programme planned for next week. We're going to go talk to the new management structure at the London Broncos, so you'll hear from them. Maybe we'll hear from the coaching staff ahead of, they've got a week off this week, haven't they? And games against St Helens, Huddersfield, and the Catalan Dragons again at the Magic Weekend. And also next week, a couple of other special interviews hopefully being planned. If I can pull them off, we'll get you those on the programme next week. Thank you once again for listening to Rugby League Down South for this week. And as I say, all being well, we're back next week. Thank you once again for listening.